Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be back up here on this stage, and especially alongside these companies on my left. Chakana Copper is a single asset company. It's that way by design. We're not a project generator. Our strategy is to leverage our expertise in the industry to identify key projects that are in the early discovery stage, projects that are probably pre-resource but have the potential based on drilling to take it all the way through a project that could be developed, and the kind of project that's perhaps misunderstood or misappreciated based on the previous results. The SOLEDAD project that I'm going to talk to you about today is a very interesting project. It's based on tourmaline breccia pipes, multiple tourmaline breccia pipes in a very tight cluster, no doubt related to an intrusion. The depth of that intrusion has not been determined. Previous explorers were focused on discovering the heat engine or the intrusion driving the tourmaline breccia pipes, and our view is that the tourmaline breccia pipes themselves were a viable target. There are multiple pipes. They're vertically extensive. They're very high grade, and the potential of these breccia pipes had never been tested before. You can see all the circles on the map. The circles represent the known breccia pipes. The stars represent targets that are identical to the alteration that we see proximal to the breccia pipes. In total now, we're up to 23 confirmed breccia pipes at surface. We continue to find more breccia pipes as we conduct our surface exploration. On top of that, there's another 11 areas that have very strong alteration. In total, we're over 84 targets defined on the property to date, still yet to be tested. We've drilled 25,000 meters to date on 4 pipes. We're waiting on permits to drill a number of other high-ranking targets on the property, and there's considerable upside when you consider all the targets that we have. The people on my right and left in this photograph, John's sitting here in the session today. John just mentioned, the other John just mentioned Doug Kerwin. Doug is our chairman. He's also a world-renowned expert in these tourmaline-type breccia systems. We have extensive experience on the board from a technical standpoint that's really driving our strategy. Our capital structure has changed recently. As Joe mentioned, we just 4 weeks ago, we announced the deal, a private placement with Goldfields for a 16% interest in the company at a 51% share price, a 51-cent share price, and that is a no strings attached type of private placement. There's no board seat. It's simply bringing Goldfields into the project with some considerable expertise that we now have access to. You can see our fully diluted share structure sits at about 103 million shares. Our project is located in central Peru. John's project, he mentioned earlier, is further north in the Cajamarca province. Both of those provinces are key mining provinces in the country of Peru, and that's a really important point about Peru. There are great places to be, and there's more difficult places to be, and where you really want to be is in the provinces where mining has a long-standing history. That's often areas where a lot of the social issues have been worked out. We operate in Ancash, which is near the PERU mine, just 35 kilometers to the north, and to the northeast is the Antamina mine, the largest mine in Peru. This is a view looking north, a Google Earth view. Again, the circles represent the known outcropping breccia pipes. The ones in red are the ones that we've drilled. The ones in orange are the ones that we have not drilled yet, and all the other targets that you can see there. The project also sits in an excellent geographic location from the aspect of mining. You can see an active lead zinc silver mine immediately to the east. We have relief working in our favor, about 500 meters of relief, which means that we can come in from beneath these pipes, mine the vertical extent to the surface in the earlier stages of mining, and then mine downward from that lower level at some future point in time. Breccia pipes are very common features globally in relation to porphyry copper deposits. They're oftentimes not the target of specific mineral resources in terms of drilling because they're associated with other types of intrusive hosted mineralization. They're vertically extensive features. On the right is a diagram from Silito from a paper in 1971 where he studied many districts in Chile. Most of those districts have anywhere from 50 to well over 100 breccia pipes in each individual district. The mineralogy of the breccia pipes is an important feature to point out, in the shallower extent of the breccia pipes, you generally have an alteration mineral called sericite. As you get deeper, biotite. We've never seen, even with drill intercepts as deep as 800 meters deep from surface at Soledad, we've never seen biotite alteration, which tells us that we're still at the very top part of the system. There's oftentimes a very strong grade enrichment on the edge of the pipe, but at Soledad we get excellent grades in the center of the pipe too, which means that the bulk of our breccia is generally considered to be potential resource material. The diagram on the left shows a snapshot in time. It was early on in our drilling. We were drilling Breccia 1, which has a very prominent 40 by 60 meter outcropping expression shown here. You can see our radial drill pattern, and we were getting some really excellent hits early on. 36 meters of 4.7% gold equivalent, 113 meters of 3.9 copper equivalent, some really excellent grades. But we had an intercept off to the north here, about 40 meters off. It ends up being about 125 meters down with a really exceptional intercept, 13 meters of 12.2% copper equivalent. At that time, we thought it was interesting. We didn't understand it. We came back later. We drilled a hole beneath it, and that ended up confirming that we had a totally separate blind breccia pipe sitting right beside Breccia 1. So if you've got one blind breccia pipe on the property, the potential of having other breccia pipes is certainly considered to be high. If we take a closer look at Breccia 1, the main zone cropping out here at surface, the surface area of that pipe at 60 meters depth is about 2,600 square meters. If you go another 100 meters down, it doubles in size. So the point here is the pipes get bigger at depth, and they do that because of the way they form. These are not breccias that erupt at surface. They erupt off of a crystallizing intrusion at depth that has a very high volatile content, but they don't reach the surface. As they're going vertical, they're actually losing energy, and so they taper or they form more of a conical shape, and we've proven that with our drilling to date. So this is considerable upside when you think about the potential tonnage that something like that could add. Just some nice rock pictures. We get some beautiful breccia textures here. You can see in this photograph here, all the sulfides exist as a cement to the breccia, and because the breccia is so porous and open, the greater the porosity, the greater the cement, therefore the greater the grade. We get these other zones with these really intense areas of clast replacement. It's a different style of mineralization, but you can see the grades up here. We're talking about very, very high grades. On the margins of the pipe, we can get some exceptional grades. This is 6 meters of almost 14 grams gold and 3.6% copper. Mineralogically, our predominant copper mineral is chalcopyrite. You can see that here. This is pyrite. We get a really spectacular late gold event. This is an almost 3 millimeter wide gold grain cutting across very late stage in transecting the sulfide grain boundaries of previous sulfides. We also get gold as blebs in pyrite in the 20 to 100 micron range, and this is we think this bodes well for eventual recoveries of both copper and gold. Just a glimpse of what the surface exploration looks like. We've done surface mapping, sampling, soil sampling in 2 different types of geophysical surveys. You can see a very strong correlation between strong gold in soil with the known breccia pipes, but then we get many of these anomalies have no known surface expression. These are areas where there's no outcrop exposed, therefore we're unable to confirm that there's a breccia source to it. But based on our experience now with working with the known breccias, these are all high priority targets that will need to be drill tested. On the right diagram, we see a CSAMT survey. It's a very common method used in the gold industry for looking at resistive rock versus conductive rock. The red represents the conductive features, the blue and greens are the more resistive features, and you can see that the geophysics mimics the geology as we know it. Vertical conductivity features associated with breccia pipes, and the scale here is really impressive, 1,600 meters from surface to depth. One of our most attractive and exciting targets on the property is called the HUANCARAMA breccia complex, and it's exciting for multiple reasons. One, it has multi-gram gold right at surface. It's a very large feature from end to end. It's about 200 meters of strike length by about 100 meters north and south. This breccia body by itself, if it's vertically extensive like we've seen in our other drilling, this could be a company maker in and of itself. The mining aspect of it, we've had 3 different mining engineers look at this project, very early stage, very preliminary. If we were to get resources on these breccia pipes, the mining engineers are very excited about the project from the standpoint of flexibility, having multiple breccia pipes that could be mined and integrated underground mine infrastructure. Early on in the mine life, for something as small as 250 meters of horizontal development can give you a working face. You can build that working face into early production in there, and while that's going on, you can start developing the underground mining infrastructure. The preferred mining method that seems to work well with a project like this is sublevel mining with long hole stoping. The plan for the rest of the year is to test a number of targets. You can see all the green circles on this map represent some of our highest priority targets on the property. I mentioned we have 84 targets on the property. This is just a small sample of those targets. The plan is to initiate a drill program of about 20,000 meters starting within a few weeks. We're very, very close to the next approved stage of drill permitting, and that will allow us to start testing a number of these targets. We'll also continue on with metallurgical work that we've already started, and the ultimate goal in this work is to get a maiden resource done on the project. Just a summary there, we have a booth here. We have some beautiful core specimens, and we'd love to describe the project in more detail, so please stop by and take a look at these rocks. Thank you.